made it to Houston. We're just here waiting at my dad's. Our friends should be meeting us in a few hours. They had to work, so they came up a little later. They're going to pick us up from here. We're going to leave our car here, and then we're going to head over to a hotel over in Chinatown. We're going to eat over there, and then we have an early flight at like 6 a.m. So we're pretty much going to eat, sleep a little bit at the hotel, and then head over. We have already gotten our eSIMs. We decided to get them from Ubiggy. It was $7 for 15 days, 3 gigabytes of data, and then you can easily just like top it off in the app. So we'll see if we need to or not. I also downloaded maps for Galway and Dublin so that we can just like GPS our way around. But we're very excited. It is currently, what time is it? 8 o'clock? 8 o'clock here in Houston. Probably should be like another hour until our friends get here. Do you need a break? Hello, I am a brand new Stephanie. I'm now 28. We were 27 on the trip. I'm a whole new different person. No, not really. But we did fly out on March 7th. It is now April 7th. I've been putting off making this part of the video because that first flight fucking sucked. It made me almost never want to travel again. It was so bad. So, our original flight on March 7th was supposed to be from Houston to Chicago on March 7th. We were supposed to leave at 9:30 a.m. and arrive in Chicago at 12:13 p.m. From there at 2:05 p.m. we were supposed to go from Chicago to Toronto and then arrive in Dublin. No. 9:30 to 12:30 we were supposed to be on our flight from Houston to Chicago. From 2:05 to 4:46 we were supposed to be on our flight from Chicago to Toronto, and then from Toronto to Dublin is what we were supposed to do from 7:35 p.m. to 7:10 a.m. March 8th. So essentially we were supposed to leave Houston at 9:30 on March 7th and arrive in Ireland the next day at 7:10 a.m. So essentially like 22 hours of travel. That did not happen. We were also traveling with other people in our group. So Tasha and Kirby were already there. They had gotten there 2 days before. Me, Drew, Big Joe, Colin, and Leia, we all drove up to Houston together from Corpus. And we all kind of had different-ish flights, but we were all supposed to arrive around the same time in Ireland. What first went wrong was that our second flight from Chicago to Toronto got delayed. So that kind of screwed everybody up because then Colin and Leia got on a totally different flight. So they had a totally different itinerary. Big Joe ended up getting on a different flight and itinerary. Me and Drew ended up getting on one where instead of at 2:05, it was going to leave at 4 o'clock instead. So only 2 hours later, which made us kind of worry that we might miss our flight from Toronto to Dublin, because that one was leaving at 7:35. Originally, we were going to get there at 5 o'clock. Now it's 2 hours later, so we were going to get there around like 6:50, I think it was. So we would have around like 30 minutes to run to our gate. Um, Spoiler, that wasn't the worst thing that happened. The worst thing that actually happened was we get to Houston. We're trying to get through security just to get to our gate. And in Texas, it's totally normal to have guns. We have guns. Apparently, Drew didn't realize there was still a gun in his backpack that he had brought with him for the trip. It was kind of both of our faults. I was trying to clear out our guest room because we have a new bunny and that was going to be its new home. I didn't want the bunny to get into, gun violence, so I put it in his backpack and I moved it to our room just so we could put it up properly later. But I was just using the backpack as like a vessel. So like I put the gun in there, I put some wires in there, like things the bunny just shouldn't have. I stuck in that backpack, threw it in our room. I didn't realize when Drew went to pack his bag that he wouldn't empty out the bag all the way, so there was still the gun at the bottom, and he just shoved his clothes on top and then brought it with him to the airport. And that's because, right, when we went through security, they have like a big sign in the front that says no guns allowed. So I was like, hee hee ha ha, Drew, you don't have a gun in there, right? And he's like, yeah, of course not, I don't have a gun in there. Um, our bag got pulled to the side. I was like, oh, fuck. I must have put too much liquid. I packed too much toothpaste in our bag. That's why I got pulled to the side. And then the officer walks up to our bag, and I was like, I guess they're short staffed. Why is she checking our bag? And then Drew jokes, haha, there's nothing harmful in there. And she's like, oh, yeah, there is. And we're like, oh my God. Is there a gun in the bag? Is there a gun in the bag? She's like, yeah, there's a gun in the bag. So we start freaking out. I'm pretty sure they could tell from our faces that like we didn't mean to do harm. Like we genuinely looked shocked because we had no idea there was a gun in the bag. But there was. Luckily, we're in Texas, so they're just like, hey man, happens all the time. We're just gonna escort you out so that you can put this back in your car or whatever. But by this point, like we had already figured out all of our flights. Everybody was separated. We had to call Big Joe back because we actually came together in his truck. So we had to get him back over here, have him meet at the parking lot in which we parked at, have Drew get escorted over there to put the gun up, and then come back in time. I'm over here with all of our stuff, trying to lug all of our stuff to the gate, hoping that Drew makes it back in time so we can make our flight. Luckily, he does. That's all put behind us, whatever. We made it to our gate. We fly to Toronto, and we realized, we fly to Chicago, and we realized we're missing our flight to Toronto. So we had to wait for that to get situated, and then we got moved to like a different flight, so we were already late on that one. And then it was like snowing during this time too, so we were already delayed as is. We're waiting there extra long in the Chicago airport. We finally get on the plane. We're waiting in the plane for another like hour to an hour and a half, I think, just for them to de-ice it, which like I'm really glad they are caring, because there's horrible accidents have happened because, planes weren't de-iced properly. So like, glad we made it. But because of that, by the time we got to Toronto, uh so like our Toronto was where we were supposed to meet Big Joe. We were supposed to meet up and have the same flight to Dublin. But by the time we got there, they had already closed the gate because we were so late from the de-icing. They'd already closed the gates. We weren't able to get on that plane, even though it was still there, because that flight also got delayed. So they were just sitting on the tarmac, but they had given away our seats because it was already like said that we're not going to make it in time. So they gave away our seats to someone else. There's no way we were getting on that flight. So instead, we had to wait for another flight. And instead of going straight to Dublin, they had now put us on a flight that would take us to Germany and then to Dublin. So that one, so I was really pissed at the point. Like, we had already been traveling for like over 20 hours at this point because everything had gotten so delayed and so pushed back. Like I don't even know how many hours. I just remember I was tired and I just wanted to get on that flight to Dublin because that one is a long flight. It's like a what is it? From Toronto to Dublin, that's like a 12-hour flight in itself. So we had already been traveling from Texas to Chicago to Toronto. Um and then that one was delayed. So I just wanted to get on the plane to Dublin, and then so we waited another hour in the airport for our flight to Germany now. And then in the German airport, we had to wait another 3 hours. So, like, after our 12-hour flight, we waited another 3 hours. And then from Germany to Dublin, I think everything was on time. And then we finally made it to Dublin. So, instead of getting there at 8 a.m., like we were supposed to, we ended up not getting to Dublin until 10 p.m. that night. Colin and Leia's flight got so messed up, they weren't there until the following day. Like, they didn't even make it there on the 8th. They didn't get there until the 9th. It wouldn't have been that much of a problem if we didn't have, like, we already had tattoos scheduled because we were getting Ireland tattoos. You'll see it later in the videos, but luckily I was able to eventually reschedule it to another day at the end of our trip, so we were still able to get them. But we did miss out on that full first day. And me and Drew, I think we calculated we ended up traveling for 34 hours. So instead of 22 hours, it became 34 hours. It was a lot. I was so freaking stressed. Me and Drew were so tired. Like, we were all supposed to be traveling together, and because everything got so messed up, we all ended up solo traveling. Big Joe was pretty much on his own the whole time. Me and Drew luckily were together, and then Leia and Colin were together. Um, but we all eventually got there. We all got there safe, and it was okay. Um, on the way back, we also got delayed quite a few hours. Like, we got stuck at the Toronto airport for a while. Um, and somehow Drew still had bullets in his backpack. Ireland, when we left Ireland, they didn't catch the bullets. He went through security and everything. It wasn't until we got to Toronto that they found the bullets. Luckily, they let him through because we had to explain everything. Like, hey, we're from Texas. Like, it should already be on his record, whatever, that he had a gun, but like, it wasn't serious, whatever. They let us through. But now that backpack's cursed and we are not traveling it with it anymore. But yeah, that happened. I'll have to say, I never really liked United, and I never flew Air Canada, but I am never flying Air Canada again because they're the ones that messed everything up. The reason why Colin and Leia were so behind and they didn't come until the next day was because they just straight deleted her itinerary. Just got rid of it. It was gone. Leia didn't have any more flights. What the fuck, dude? What do you mean? We were just like, what do you mean she has no flights? She has no flights. They just deleted everything. Yeah. So, um, February 2025. Flights aren't great right now. Everything messed up. My little sister just visited us from Canada. Flew on Air Canada. Also, also got messed up. Was totally delayed. All the things. So yeah, fuck you, Air Canada. We also didn't get anything for compensation. We just got screwed over and had to fly for an extra like day and a half. Wasn't offered hotels or anything. Luckily, we got there, but like a whole day later, with like they were just like, "Oh, well, you're lucky we even rescheduled you," and I'm like, "What the fuck?" So, um, yeah, that happened. Oh, also because all of our flights got kind of messed up, so we didn't take the longer flight. We didn't really get food on the plane. I was so hungry because we were literally running from gate to gate trying to catch all of these flights that were delayed. Um, I didn't get to stop and get food in between. And then because we were taking all of these like short, 2 to 4 hour flights, they just had snacks and drinks. So I was going on like a day and a half of not having like a proper meal. So by the time we got to Germany, I was freaking starving, my dude. The food on the plane also, like the one like meal that we had, not good. It wasn't good. I think me and Drew are kind of spoiled that we've just been flying to like Japan and Asia, and ANA Airlines, ANA, is such a good airline. Their food is so good. Their staff is so good. So even when we're on packed flights, it's okay. All of those flights were really freaking hot. They were all like full flights. We did get like, I think one of the flights we got like a row to ourselves, but other than that, like it was not a good time. A lot of the stuff was dirty. Them planes were dirty. I lost one of my pins. They never found it. Um, I just had a bad time. It was not a good time. Like I'm happy we went to Ireland, but it wasn't like on my bucket list of places to go. And after those flights, I was literally about to be like, Drew, just let's just go back home. Let's just turn back around. Maybe it's not worth it. Maybe we don't. Maybe this is a sign. And that's because like people were crashing. Like there was planes just freaking falling out of the sky like the 2 weeks beforehand, where I was like, maybe this is a sign. Maybe they're just telling us we should go home. But as you're going to see from the rest of the vlogs, it wasn't too bad. We still had a good time. I do think there's things that I want to do differently, and I'll talk about that later. But um, I just wanted to mention the fiasco of the flights. So from now on, I'm packing. Drew is not allowed to empty out the bags because he left an entire freaking gun in his backpack and took that with him. Guns aren't light. I don't know how he didn't notice it, but I mean, I guess it was my fault. I put the gun in the bag. Whatever. Texas things. Um, and I'm also going to book the flights from now on because I wasn't aware they booked Air Canada. I would have told them no. Because what the fuck was that? But this is what I get for not being a control freak and letting someone else plan the trips. So it's just confirming that I have to be a crazy person and plan all our trips from now on. So. Oh, I also forgot to mention, Tiny Mic is dead. My little tiny wired mic. So we have upgraded to a wireless one. She has a little clippy too, so you guys can hear me do food reviews now with my clicky mic. But it's because I left my wired mic in my overalls, and then Drew washed her. So, R.I.P. First meal in Ireland. Yeah. Where's the label?